What's going on, everybody's fragged out, swagged out, and you already know why I'm here today. I'm going to go over a fragrance that probably doesn't need a lot of introduction. It's on a lot of people's gourmand lists. It's on a lot of people's chocolate list. There's a lot of people's oud rose combo list. It's on a lot of lists. It's part of a very big fragrance out. The aesthetic alone speaks of the fame it has, because you see it and you kind of know what you're looking at already. And that is Resala from the house of Arabian Oud, probably one of the biggest brands in the world, one of the most recognizable. They give you everything from $100 fragrance to 1,000 plus. They have something for everybody. Everything in Arabian Oud is not oud, it's not super oudy, skanky, funky. They have everything from that variation of fragrance that I do love down to fresh florals. Like, everything is there. And this might be the week where I get to do some of my Arabian Oud reviews, seeing that a couple of people have asked me. And this one right here in particular came up today in my comments. Someone asked me, is this a blind buy safe fragrance? Especially somebody who's not that in love with saffron. So I responded to the individual. But here's the thing, right? This fragrance right here, though the notes are saffron, rose, Madagascar vanilla, Cambodian oud dark chocolate. So there's saffron in there. But the saffron here is not like that Western saffron where it's going to be very overly sweet, overly like latexy. This is more of the Middle Eastern variation where it has a kind of like a sweet, spicy saffron. So that's what you're going to get here with this fragrance. It's not going to be like a Baccarat Rouge kind of saffron. Now, in terms of blind buy, you know, blind buy is very subjective. Well, do you know your own taste in fragrance? Do you know what you like? And can you identify that in a note list? Most of my fragrances, with the exception of Baccarat Rouge 540, Grand Soir, like maybe one or two of my Killians and Wojan, pretty much everything else back there is blind buys, right? So you have to know what you like. You have to be able to listen to a reviewer and say, I like what they're saying. I know what they're talking about. They referred it to, like, and then you get an idea. So blind buy is very subjective. I don't tell people to blind buy, although I do, but that's my personal thing. I'm willing to roll with the punches if I don't like it. And I don't blame a reviewer for me associating what I think I like with their taste. With that out the way, I love this fragrance. You have to like what it provides in order to blind buy this kind of fragrance. So what does it provide? So in the opening, the first thing I'm going to get is that very elegant rose, a really nice, almost realistic kind of rose touched up by that saffron. And again, the saffron doesn't make it crazy cotton candy sweet. This saffron here is a nice, sweet, kind of Middle Eastern spice added over the rose. And the rose starts to lean towards that very traditional oud rose that you get, that's known, the super famous, that everybody takes a stab at, and it's hard to mess that up, right? That oud, that Cambodian oud, that rose, and that saffron start to blend very well. And immediately after that, you start getting that touch of chocolate, a very dry, dark chocolate. Now, for me, although the rose does stand out in the beginning, and you kind of want to call it a rose oud combo, the star of this fragrance is the chocolate. And why I say that? That Cambodian oud is going to give you a nice traditional oud without any of the funk. It's a very clean oud that blends well with an elegant rose. And what it starts to do, that dry wood feel of it starts to blend very well with that very dry chocolate, that very dry cacao feel. Now, once that chocolate is introduced into the fragrance, it does two things to my nose. Number one, it merges very well with that oud that's so well blended with that rose. And it's giving it this nice woody, dry chocolate and rose feel. But it starts to blend with that vanilla that's in the mid. And the vanilla has a little bit of a creamier feel, a little more of that gourmand leaning feel. So as it merges with that vanilla, it starts to give it a little bit of a creamy feel. So now you have that dry chocolate with that creamy vanilla. So that chocolate has blended well with that oud, that's blended well with that rose, and it starts to mix well with that vanilla. It starts giving you a different kind of feel, a nice sweetness that goes almost into that gourmand realm. But you have to be very aware that rose is still present. It's still giving it that very elegant feel with that saffron, with that sweet spiciness. Not overly spicy, just a sweet spice, right? And it smells amazing. Now, when I say dry chocolate and oud, right, that blends so well, that oud is already dry, that chocolate is dry, so they blend well together, and it feels so organic. And if you've ever smelled Crop 2021 from House of Oud, you'll understand what I'm referring to. It's not the same smell at all, but it's the same kind of composition, right? In the sense that you have that dry, dusty kind of chocolate mixed with that dry, oudy smell. This smells wonderful, not offensive, not in that barnyardy kind of oud. And then you added those nice gourmand elements to it. That saffron stays present, but it starts to die down. And the star really does become that chocolate and how it blends back and forth between that vanilla and that oud, and those touches of that very nice, beautiful, elegant rose that make this like a nice evening wear. It's not going to go overly gourmand. Although it can make a gourmand list, you can make that argument for sure. But it's just a beautiful fragrance with a beautiful presentation. I love it. Spring, fall, winter, summertime in the evening. I mean, here in the United States, people try to stay away from these heavier fragrances when it's warm. I don't. I'll wear a beautiful fragrance whenever I want to. But I understand those who separate their fragrances by the 4 seasons. You may not want this particular one in the summer, although I would. If you like the blend of those rose ouds and teetering on gourmand, then yeah, I think you can easily buy this fragrance. The saffron is not a major player if you love or if you dislike saffron, but if you like saffron, you will see how it definitely elevates what's already present in this fragrance. Personally, I love this fragrance. Arabian Oud, in my opinion, they're big enough that everybody knows them, but still not a lot of talk about them, which is weird. So I'll probably do the rest of my fragrances from Arabian Oud this week. If you have any other questions on this fragrance or the other ones that I'm going to do later on this week, feel free to hit me up in the comments or leave your own description of it if you want to add more for those who want to learn and I left something out. Maybe, you know, I'm not going to give you all the information. I don't know all the information, and maybe you do. So feel free to leave that in there. I don't take it as a combative action if you do that. Again, if you have questions, leave them there. Suggestions, leave them there. If you like this video, please like it. And if you're not following, go ahead and add yourself into that subscription and become part of this group. And the conversation that happens in the comments. That's really all I have for you today. Thank you very much for watching. If you did, it's fragged out, swagged out, and I'm out.